wind stopped. That was the first sign. On a ridge like this, wind never stops, not even for a second, but it stopped now, and I felt every nerve in my body go tight. I am the thing that ends hunts before they begin. Other creatures on this world call me Voruk, and the humans who built their outpost near these hills have a simpler name for me, one that means death falling from the sky. I have never needed to strike twice at anything. One pass, one moment, and it is finished. That is what I am. That is all I have ever needed to be. For 6 days I had circled far above this human settlement, watching without being seen, because something about this place did not make sense to me. My hunting ground had gone unnaturally quiet. 3 rivals of my own kind, each one older and stronger than the last, had wandered into these hills across different seasons, and none of them had ever come back out. No sound of a fight ever reached me. No trace of bone or blood was ever found. Whatever took them did it clean, and quiet, and complete. That kind of silence does not happen by chance. It happens because something efficient did the work. I still remembered the last rival to vanish, a hunter named Drask, who was faster than me and twice as heavy. Drask had laughed when I warned him to stay away from these hills. He said no human settlement could ever hide a threat worth fearing, and he flew off toward these very slopes, with his wings wide and proud, certain he would return within a single night carrying a fresh kill. He never returned at all. No cry reached me on the wind. No trace of him was ever found on the rocks below. Whatever happened to Drask happened fast, and it happened without any warning, and that frightened me more than any battle ever could. So tonight, I came down from the high clouds to see the truth with my own eyes. I found a dark ledge above the settlement just as the sun dropped behind the hills, and I folded my wings tight against the black rock so that I became nothing more than another shadow among shadows. Below me, small lights glowed inside metal domes, and human voices drifted up on the cooling air, calm and unafraid, the way only creatures who feel completely safe can sound. No one stood guard along the fence line. No one scanned the dark ridges the way frightened prey always does. They moved like this place had never known danger. And that alone told me something important. Either these humans were foolish, or they had a reason not to be afraid. Then I saw her. Her name, I would later learn, was Nora, a young woman small even by human standards, who walked out past the fence alone, carrying a satchel over one shoulder. She wore no armor, carried no weapon, and showed no fear at all as she walked straight toward the tree line where the shadows grew deepest, right into what should have been the edge of my hunting ground. I almost could not believe it. One human, alone, unarmed, walking calmly into the dark at the exact hour when every wise creature on this world stays close to the fire. This was not bravery, this was carelessness. And carelessness like that usually ends in one way. I lowered my head and drew my wings in tight, settling into the shape I take before every strike, the shape that has ended so many lives that I stopped counting long ago. One heartbeat more, and this would be finished before she even knew I was there. Then the ground moved. Not shook, not trembled, but moved the way a great muscle moves beneath skin, the way something enormous shifts its weight without hurry. What I had mistaken for a rock formation near the tree line was not stone at all. It rose slowly, wings unfolding from its sides, wings wider than my own by a good measure, dark as the space between the stars, blotting out the last light of the setting sun. I did not move. I did not breathe, though creatures like me rarely need to. Something ancient in me understood, in that single frozen moment, exactly what fear must feel like to smaller things. The great shape lowered its massive head toward Nora, with a patience that no true hunter should ever show, especially not toward something so small and soft. Its head alone was longer than one of the human transport vehicles parked near the outpost gate. Its jaw could have closed around her whole body without any effort at all. Nora did not run. She did not even flinch. Instead, she reached into her satchel and pulled out a piece of fresh meat, holding it flat on her open palm and lifting it toward those enormous jaws like she was offering a treat to something gentle and familiar. The huge head came down the rest of the way, and with a care that stunned me more than any display of strength ever could, it took the meat from her palm as softly as a bird might take a crumb from a child's hand, if that bird happened to weigh as much as a loaded transport ship. "There you go," Nora said, and her voice carried clearly across the still evening air, close enough now for even my sharp hearing to catch every word. Her voice held no fear at all. It held warmth. It held the kind of fondness people save for something they truly care about. A second voice called out from the direction of the outpost gate, and a young man named Cole jogged down the path carrying a second satchel over his shoulder. He moved with the same easy confidence Nora had shown, waving toward the enormous shape in greeting, as though he were approaching an old friend, rather than a creature that could level the entire settlement in a single breath. "Did he already eat everything I brought this morning?" Cole asked, laughing as he reached Nora's side. "You know how he gets when the weather turns cold," Nora answered, still resting her hand against the great scaled jaw. "He gets hungry early." Cole opened his satchel and pulled out more meat, offering it up the same way Nora had, without a trace of caution in his movements. The huge dragon lowered its head toward him next, patient and gentle, taking the offering with the same soft care it had shown before. Watching the two of them together, so calm beside something built to end lives without effort, told me this was no rare event. This was simply how every evening ended here. The huge dragon made a low sound deep in its chest, a sound so heavy that I felt it through the rock beneath my own claws from 200 paces away. Then it pressed its enormous head gently against her shoulder, and she staggered slightly under the weight, before laughing softly and scratching along the ridge of its jaw, as if this were the most ordinary thing in the world. In that instant, I understood exactly what had happened to my rivals. They had not been killed by the humans at all. They had wandered into these hills and challenged this enormous creature, this thing that dwarfed even me, believing they were claiming open territory. Instead, they had met something that considered this land, and this human, already its own to protect. And one by one, every single rival had lost that challenge, not to steel or fire or clever human tricks, but to a dragon of their own kind, grown larger and older than any of us could imagine, a dragon that had somehow chosen this small, soft, unarmored creature over everything its own nature should have told it to want. I have hunted across this world for longer than these metal domes have stood on this hillside. I have seen predators guard their territory. I have seen them guard their young. I have never once seen a predator guard a creature that was not even its own kind, a creature it could have swallowed whole without a single effort, simply because that creature had chosen to be kind to it. And yet there it was, right in front of me, close enough that I could see every detail. Its enormous eye slowly closed in something that looked exactly like comfort, exactly like trust, while Nora murmured softly and pressed her forehead gently against its scales. I did not know what these humans had done to earn something like that. I did not understand what kind of patience it took to look at the most dangerous creature this land had ever produced and decide, slowly, gently, one offering at a time, night after night, that it belonged with you, and that you belonged with it, and somehow make a bond like that hold. But I know a true predator when I see one, and standing on that hillside tonight, it was clear that the true predator here was not me. I loosened my wings without making a single sound, and for the first time since I could remember, I chose the open sky over the strike. Whatever these humans carried inside them, whatever quiet strength lived behind that soft voice and that open, offering hand, I wanted no part of discovering what would happen to something that mistook it for weakness. As I lifted off the ledge and rose silently into the dark sky, I looked back one final time. The great dragon had settled down beside Nora, wrapping one massive wing loosely around her small frame, shielding her from the cooling night wind. She leaned into it without hesitation, completely at ease, completely unafraid, resting against a creature powerful enough to end worlds. I flew higher, letting the cold air carry me far from that hillside, farther than I had ever flown before in a single night. Somewhere below me, The outpost lights grew smaller and smaller, until they disappeared behind the curve of the hills. As I crossed back over my own hunting ground near dawn, I passed the ridge where Drask used to rest between hunts, and for the first time I understood exactly why that ledge had stayed empty for so many seasons. It was not bad luck that took him. It was not some hidden trap built from steel or fire. It was a choice he made, the same choice every rival before him had made, walking toward something they believed was small and helpless, because their instincts told them so, never once questioning why the humans below never seemed afraid. I will not make that mistake. I will not send my own kind toward those hills either, and if any young hunter ever asks me why that territory stays untouched, I will tell them only this much, nothing more. Some places look quiet because nothing dangerous lives there, and some places stay quiet because something far more dangerous already does, watching over what it loves with a patience no ordinary predator could ever match. Let the old stories continue to call me the deadliest hunter in these lands. Let that name travel far and wide, spoken with fear around every fire on every hillside. I know the truth now, and I intend to keep flying far from it. Because somewhere back on that quiet hillside, two humans with open hands and gentle voices had done what no army, no weapon, and no storm had ever managed to do. They had tamed something greater than fear itself, and in doing so, they had shown me exactly why every wise creature on this world should learn to leave humans, and everything that loves them, alone.